say what the format is going to be. Eric is represented tonight by Sandra Lowe, who's a member of the Democratic National Committee, and Hillary Crosby's our other Kimberly Ellis is our other candidate. She's represented tonight by California Democratic Party Controller Hillary Crosby. And so each of them will speak for 5 minutes, first Sandra and then Hillary, and then we'll have time when we can ask questions, and in fairness, we'll just give each of them a chance to respond as they're inspired to, and in maybe in an alternating order at that point. So first, let's welcome, please, Sandra Lowe, representing Eric Bauman.
Got to do that, but I'll take them off just to say hello to everybody. So thank you, Bill, and thank you all for being so generous and including me in this process. So I think it's kind of weird, because if you had asked me like a year ago, would I be in Santa Clara debating my friend Hillary Crosby about another person that I really like, which is who is Kimberly Ellis, I would say, you are crazy, that's not going to happen, why would I do something like that? So I just want you to know that I have great, mad respect for our controller and for Kimberly, who I've worked with in Merge, and I come here speaking for someone and not in any way trying to, negate the contributions that they both have made, which are significant. So some of you know who I am, and some of you don't. You hear DNC and you go, oh my God, she must be one of those super delegates I hate so much. So actually, I just recently got elected, and I ran, I'm from California, I live in the North Bay in Sonoma, and I ran on a reform platform to get rid of super delegates and to open the party up and to more organizing and so forth. So I'm a new person on the DNC. During the elections for the chair of the DNC, I was a supporter of Keith Ellison. I was the first person to endorse Keith Ellison from the DNC in California. I was part of his whip team. And so I just want you to know where I'm coming from as far as, my background in politics are concerned. In my day job, I work for the California Teachers Association. So that's yay, thank you. And in the California Teachers Association, I am the assistant manager for political action, and I run campaigns up and down the state. I've done many here in your beautiful county, a lot of the ones that came up this last time, and a long time ago, I even ran a campaign for someone called Cindy Chavez, who was going to run for mayor. And I actually did mail for Cindy Chavez for mayor. So I have, even if you don't know me, I know you. And if I don't know you personally, I've seen your name on one of my call sheets, that's for sure. So I've also worked with Mike Honda. How many of you guys know So Mike and I go way back, because when I was a school board member, which was my penance for working for CTA, he and I worked on something to get military recruiters off high school campuses and bringing in other opportunities, so that was not the only opportunity. So I have a long history of working with Mike, who I love. So I'm here to tell you about Eric Bauman. You just learned about me, and I want you to know the Eric Bauman that I know, because it's really important to me. Now, Eric Bauman's kind of a tough guy. You might have seen him. He looks kind of gruff and tough. But he grew up in the Bronx, and he had a pretty tough upbringing with a single mom and no dad in the picture whatsoever. He fought the early fights in the GLBTQI community, met his husband, Michael, when they were both working as ICU nurses in the very first years of the AIDS epidemic. He lost many friends, loved ones, and those were terrible, terrible years. And I tell you that because Eric's story is a story of compassion and struggle, and that's what makes him tough. And underneath that toughness is a heart of gold. Now, what you see is the fight, and he wears it on his sleeve, I know that. And he's a successful county chair, but he has also been a true partner. He's been a true partner to me in important campaigns that we faced in California. In fact, there's never been a race that Eric has not played a key role in success, whether it was chasing Arnold Schwarzenegger and defeating his anti-union propositions, electing Kamala Harris, which he worked on very hard. LA was critical in that. Or passing progressive taxation for our schools, Prop 30 and Prop 55, or defeating vouchers. And recently, he helped me with the Keith Ellison campaign. I called Eric and I said, Eric, we are getting bashed by all of these innuendos about Keith and some comments that he made that are taken out of context regarding the state of Israel. I need you to help me. And he did. He made so many calls into the Jewish community and tried to very hard, and he was successful. And I would say our delegation was almost unanimous for Keith. And I really want to thank Eric for that. You need to know he did that. So this is the Eric I know. This is the Eric who's been in this fight all of his life, and he will be a great chair of this party because he knows how to run campaigns. That is what the chair of the party does. They run campaigns. They don't run legislation. You know, they run campaigns. That's their job. That's their number one job. And he has the experience, and he knows how to do it. And he wants to do it for the right reasons, because he believes in public schools, no matter what zip code you live in. And because he believes healthcare is a human right. And he believes that collective bargaining and labor is an important part of this party, which is why labor unions are lining up with Eric. And he believes we should resist the Trump agenda. And I want to shout out to you guys, because this document that you put together, this call to action, is outstanding. And I'm going to share that with him when I finally see him, which I don't know when that is. But it's excellent. Thank you so much for putting that together. So I believe this race is about experience, but more than that, I think this race is about ability. Because everyone has experience. You've all done something. But do you have the ability to do this job? Do you have the ability to run campaigns? And honestly, between the two candidates, Eric is the only one I've ever seen run a campaign. And he's run it very, very well and very successfully. And I run campaigns for a living. And I know a campaigner when I see one, and Eric is that person. So at the end of the day, you have to decide. You can look at, anecdotes and vision and cute statements, or you can look at what someone has done, what they've been successful at, and because at the end of the day, you know what your job is? Your job is to hire the next chair of the party. You're the hiring team, and you have to choose the best person for that particular job, and that person is Eric Bauman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra, for that opening statement. And I'd like to welcome Hillary Crosby now to make an opening statement on behalf of Kimberly Ellis. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's great to be here in Santa Clara. I've been in this room before. Of course, I ran for office 8 years ago, so I came looking for your support then, and I've been back a few times. Plus, I've seen many of you at other events. Judy and I think we were at a thing a couple of years ago, a big rally for Prop 30 down here, and I've been at some barbecues, and I really have enjoyed my time here. So I know I'm supposed to talk about Kimberly, but I just want to take a quick point of personal privilege, because as I go around, either with Kimberly sometimes or without her, to central committees, I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody for their support of me over the past 8 years while I've been the controller of the California Democratic Party. It's been an incredible experience for me. Of course, I've learned a lot. I've traveled all over our beautiful state, and I've met incredibly wonderful people like the people in this room, because I tell you, Democrats are great wherever we find ourselves, right? And so after all this time, I'm really happy to be able to support Kimberly Ellis to be the next chair of our California Democratic Party. It's ironic that you bring up the point about being a campaigner, because in the 8 years that I've been the controller and I've been working with John Burton, I actually haven't seen him do that. Mostly what our chair does is speak on our behalf, you know, inspire us, lead us, and of course, raise money for us to be able to keep going. And so those are the skills that I see in Kimberly, and it's one of the reasons I was really excited and proud when she decided to throw her hat into the ring. I'm really proud of her. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a military kid, she's traveled all over the country, and one of the things that really impresses me when she talks about her background as a military kid, because of course all of us know people who grew up with parents in the military, is she said very early when we were first getting to know each other that every new assignment for her was a new opportunity, a new place to meet friends. And I think that's a remarkable person, because for many people, that kind of upbringing is unsettling, makes them feel unsure of themselves, having to go into so many new environments as they move around. So I just always thought that was exceptional about her. And she's been a Democrat since she could first register when she turned 18. And for the past 10 years, she has worked with the Emerge organization. First with Emerge America, working to start new Emerge affiliates in different states. And then 7 years ago, she became the executive director of Emerge California. And during that time, she expanded the program, which had been mostly a Bay Area-centric program, and quite frankly, we all know mostly white women of some means. And she expanded that program statewide. She quadrupled the budget. She opened up the funding streams, and so included a lot of ways that people could give at all kinds of levels, which I see some Dem pins in here. You know, I love the Small Donor Sustainer program, and so I really like this, to see the history of Emerge opening up to more donors. The data shows that when there are more women in elected office, the outcomes are better. So it's not just about gender parity, it's about outcomes. When you have more women at the table, you're going to have more family-friendly, more worker-friendly, more environment-friendly policies coming out, as long as they're pro-choice Democratic women. She has tremendous administrative skills. She's an inspiring leader. She knows how to recruit people from all walks and communities. The cumulative Emerge graduate pool, including its early days in Emerge California, is actually 56% women of color. So it looks like California. And she also brings a vision to our party. So it's not just about her past, it's about the future. She wants to build from the bottom up, and she wants to expand and reconfigure our party to be more democratic, to be more inclusive, and to bring in more people from all over the state. I know we passed out our 7-point plan, but I urge you to take a look at it. If you didn't get one, it's on the website. You can also see her political opinions in the issues page. I know people need to get to know her. She's been more of a background figure than in the forefront like her opponent, like Eric has been. But let me tell you, she has our values, she has the skills, she has the track record, and I hope you vote for her.
Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, Sandra. Sandra, you'll come up, and we have an opportunity now to ask questions. Probably be helpful to ask questions that they might both be able to respond to. And Harold's hand, sir.
Yeah, you both have said that they are good campaigners, so I have a question to see how good a campaigner they can be. If I were to ask a Republican, any Republican, what does the Republican Party stand for, they would say lower taxes, smaller government. Smaller government. If I were to ask you, what does the Democratic Party stand for? Can you give me an answer? And it's got to be in 10 words or less to be an effective campaign.
So the request is about being effective campaigners. Can you to answer the question? What does it mean to be a Democrat, or what does the Democratic Party stand for in 10 words? In 10 words or less. We'll let Hillary go first this time, and we'll let Sandra go first next time.
That's okay. Fairness, inclusivity, and sharing the burdens of government and of life with each other. Did I do that? Is that 10?
That's included. Short is better. Short is good.
That's a hard question. I would say the Democratic Party is the party that cares for the people and tries to raise them to the next level and give them the American dream.
Well done on behalf of your candidates. Paul Fong, is someone a member of Paul Fong?
Yeah, I'd like to partially answer that question, and I like to ask a question too.
Because it's Paul Fong, I have to allow him to answer. I allow him to make a statement and then a question, but briefly, sir.
Also, California stands for supermajority, and the supermajority was first put in by Eric Ballman in the state assembly, because Eric Ballman was the chief of staff and the speaker, and he actually saved my butt in the election. 2012, I ran in the primary. I beat the opponent because he switches party affiliation to independent. He peeled off some conservative Democrats. I only beat him by 8% in the primary. Eric Ballman took over the campaign for the assembly, and I beat him by 24% in the end. And so he did that for all the assembly members, and we got the first super majority in the state of California. And so I've seen the results by Eric Ballman. He is a doer. He knows what to do, and that's why I'm supporting and endorsing him.
Okay, so you all heard Paul's statement and observation about his personal experience being supported by Vice Chair Bauman, and I guess I'll give each a chance to say a little bit about that, because there were a question there would be, who's better, Eric or Kimberly, in terms of preserving and obtaining a supermajority?
Thank you, Paul, and it was a pleasure to work with you when you were up at the Capitol, and I think that term limits are terrible. So, because he was a great representative. So I want to segue a little bit on the question, because I think Paul answered it well in saying that what Eric is doing now, and that is that he has put out a call to get rid of the open primary, and I think you alluded to it. The open primary is what is destroying our ability to elect progressive Democrats. It is destroying our ability to use our money wisely. We're having to do it twice. You know, you guys are the absolute poster child for that, right? In campaigns. And with attacks against unions and attacks against us affecting the ability for us to go out and campaign, we can't afford to run these campaigns twice. We can't afford to elect people that are moderate because they get the 30% Republican vote. So I would say what Eric is going to do, he has done before, but he's going to work his ass off to get rid of that open primary that Arnold Schwarzenegger put in as a thing that he dangled to the public. Oh, this is fair. So let's get rid of the open primary. Let's elect progressive Democrats to our supermajority.
So actually, I thought a whole lot of people were calling to overthrow the top two primary. I don't think Eric has the title to that. I think we're all in that. And I do know that we have a supermajority, and I know it's our second supermajority. And I am not opposed to having a Democratic supermajority. However, our Democratic supermajority has not been able to deliver single-payer health care. Our supermajority regulated fracking, doesn't ban fracking. And our supermajority seems to be just as scared of Prop 13 reform as if it weren't the supermajority. So, and I'm sorry, I was driving down here for a long time today. The traffic was terrible. It was bad. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with our highway bill, but I do know that some of our supermajority Democrats were having to be pretty much arm twisted into it. So a supermajority is not ipso facto the answer to our need for progressive change in our state. And as a matter of fact, sometimes when we have a moderate Democrat, when we have someone from the Mod Squad running, we're electing someone from the Mod Squad, I think that disappoints a lot of the people that could be part of a really robust majority in this state, a robust majority of people dedicated to progressive values, of people looking to make progressive change in this state. And I know in the past year plus, we had, and up until this day, we have contention between the wings of our party. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to deliver on a progressive Democratic Party agenda and not get so hung up on a supermajority where we have to make concessions to our right. Let's build a majority of progressive Democrats and not stay so focused on the D, but let's look at the P that we want in front of that D.
Okay, thank you, representatives. Is there another question for them to respond to? Steve Chestnut.
Yeah. Being the chair, being the chair of a political party is basically hurting cats. Because you've got a lot of people with a lot of different ideas. They don't always agree. Being the executive director of an organization that does great work is basically got everybody aligned in the same direction. So I'd like to hear how the experience of each of the two candidates translates into the skills that are needed to be the chair of the California Democratic Party.
So there was a pejorative characterization of the role of chairs of Democratic parties, followed by a question as to the skill sets of Kimberly Ellis and Eric Bauman, respectively, in getting people with diverse opinions and diverse backgrounds to work together to do what the party needs to do. So we're flipping back and forth. So you just heard from Hillary. You'll hear from her again because that's how that rotation works.
Thank you. Actually, John Burton calls it herding kittens, and that seems to me a much more accurate way than cats. Sometimes cats actually can be calm, so that's a little different from the Democratic Party. And I used to work at the ACLU. I worked very closely with the executive director there, so I can tell you that when your organization is a political organization, the role of the executive director is as much one of trying to engender consensus and trying to get everybody onto the same page as we might imagine it is in, as we know it is in a political organization. So just because it's a partisan, I'm saying this wrong, but you know what I mean. Emerge California is only Democrats. It's a partisan organization, but it's not a party. But you still have the breadth and depth and sweep of opinions and priorities and agendas in any statewide organization that we have within our California Democratic Party. And especially when you're trying to grow and expand that organization, you do have to be able to create an atmosphere where you can achieve consensus and where ultimately at the end of the day you can get your people on your team on the same page and heading in the same direction. And I think Kimberly Ellis did a great job of that. She not only could do that with Emerge, but she led a tremendous culture shift in Emerge California. She expanded it. It's no accident that Emerge graduates are now reflective of the whole state of California. And those of us who have tried to diversify, integrate an organization, and I speak as an affluent, white, petty bourgeois woman, know that this is a very difficult cultural shift to make. The white privilege is entrenched. It's really hard, and I speak as somebody who has fought for my own personal battle with white privilege. It's really hard to move off of that platform and to embrace new faces, to embrace change, to embrace people that don't look like you, that don't sound like you, that don't worship like you, that don't eat like you, and to be able, as an African American woman, to come into a predominantly white organization and create an atmosphere where that change took place successfully is a tremendous, tremendous accomplishment. And I certainly hope that you don't put people in little boxes and labels to undermine and to trivialize the magnitude of that cultural shift. And that Kimberly Ellis did that is just another reason to vote for her for chair of our party.
Well, I think that's tremendous that she did that. But this is the chair of the California Democratic Party, not another nonprofit. And as good as she's done in Emerge, the reality is Eric has been in the party. He is the chair of the Los Angeles Democratic Party. It's kind of the only thing I hold against him. He's a Dodger fan. I don't like that, but get along. But that party in Los Angeles, if it were a state, it would be the 7th largest state in America. And he holds that party together. He has taken it from basically a club into a very much of a powerhouse. He is the vice chair of the party now. He's in the organization. I know from an organization I belong to, I'm a career teacher, see Pam out there and so forth. I didn't start my job that I have now as the assistant manager the day I decided I wanted to work for CTA and do politics. I was a chapter president, I was a state council rep, I was an intern, I bargained contracts in the in the county of Mendocino. I organized campaigns, I organized new locals. I got a job, I worked as an organizer in the Bay Area, and then I got promoted. It took a long time. Organizations, you have to know the organization. And I don't think these are transferable skills entirely. And I would say that to your point, Steve, we have a saying in the labor movement, you don't think you can herd cats? Well, all you got to do is open a can of tuna, okay? And so Eric's the can of tuna. He's going to be a great chair. He knows how to be a chair. And this party is too important, not just to California, but to the entire country. They look to us. And now is not the time to toss the keys to someone with no experience running a Democratic Party. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to enter a speed round, if we may, just because, I'm sorry, there's more hands than we'll be able to take, so I'm not going to be able to get to all the questions. The long-waiting woman in the back, and then I'll be able to take one or two more. You, yes, if you will, and if the responders could try to keep it to just a minute. We've got a couple more things to do. If you do that in 1 minute, then you can update my call to action.
I love your call to action. I'm going to copy it. So in 1 minute, I will tell you that right now in the LA Democratic Party, all of the groups that have formed out of the tremendous resistance, sister districts, indivisible, swing left, all have a place inside that party. They come, they meet, they're organized with them. I am working personally right now with sister districts. We're planning on bringing them in. It has to be a big tent. It cannot be just us. We're not going to get rid of this fascist in the White House by sitting around passing out emery boards with names on it. We got to get down to the ground. I'm an organizer. That's what I do for a living. That's all I've ever done. That's my bread and butter. That's what we're going to do in this campaign when Eric gets in there. Thanks.
So Kimberly likes to say that her superpower is being able to get people with a lot of different opinions into a room together and come out at the end of it with consensus and as friends. And I've watched her do it. I think it's one of the reasons so many of the new people coming into the party through the assembly districts, coming into the party in this groundswell of new people interested in changing what happened. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. So I think that When you have somebody whose superpower is getting people to work together, getting people to arrive at consensus, becoming stronger from making our differences make us stronger, that's the person you want as chair of your party.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's have Peter next, and maybe our last question, I think. I'm sorry.
One of the most important jobs of the chair is to raise money so we can do what we want to do. So do the candidates have some guidelines or plans to accept money from corporations and rich individuals?
The question is, what are the respective candidates plan to do to raise money for the party, and what guidelines would they have for doing that?
Well, you've asked me my favorite question, because of course raising money for the party is what I've been doing for the last 8 years. And it's one of the things I think Kimberly is tremendously inspiring at. I've watched her raise money from her campaign. You can go on her website and see under donors all the hundreds, almost 1,000 people who've given just to her campaign to be chair. So she has a vast network, from expanding the budget of Merge, a personal network. She's a personally inspiring figure. She has made a commitment not to take pharma money, not to take tobacco money, not to take fossil fuel money for our party, and to build up with different programs which are in our 7-point plan to find the funds from many, many, many small donors, medium-sized donors, and affluent individuals who will be inspired by those plans, and to wean our party off of corporate money, and to leave the money from labor with labor, because they need that money to do the organizing that we need labor to do to rebuild labor into the robust powerhouse for working people that it used to be.
Say I'm a little shell-shocked that Kimberly wants to give back the labor money. We give money in labor. The California Teachers Association gives money to the Democratic Party. At this next convention, we'll be giving $100,000. And I don't think anyone in this room wants us to take that back. And we don't want to take it back, because the Democratic Party is the core values that we believe in. And we still want to see labor have a seat at the table. I agree with Kimberly's plan on fundraising small donors. I think we have to do that. I think Bernie Sanders is the model for that. And I saw a lot of that in that campaign. I'd like to work on with him, with all of you, to try to do that. But people give money when they think there's something that is going to work. They give money for success. I mean, this county is the trademark on that, right? So you've got to have a chair in there that people feel confident about giving money to. Someone who's actually run a party. Someone who knows how to succeed and win races. So it's nice to talk about what you're going to take and what you're not going to take, but no one's going to give unless you're successful, and that's why Eric has to be the chair.
Well, thank you both. I think that we can all agree that the candidates were well represented, and Sandra and Hillary, thank you for being great leaders of our Democratic Party. Thank you.